I can't do that anymore.
I was raised by the wolves.
I hope everybody's watching on YouTube so they can see all that. All right, we're back with another edition of the Red and White Podcast. I'm your host, Evan, here with Will. All right, Will, week one's in the books. Well, for most people, Carolina and TCU are playing tonight. We get to see the Bill Belichick era start off.
Shot
Let me
in
ask you
Freud
this
Bowl.
simple question. Do you feel better or worse after a week one victory over ECU 24-17?
Boy, what a tale of four quarters. No, honestly, I feel like that's kind of what I expected. A little good, a little bad, little classic Dave. I don't know. You could see the upside there, and you can also see the butt puckering that we're going to have for 11 more games.
Yeah. You know, at first, I think I was, I won't say disappointed, but maybe not surprised is probably the right way to say this, right? It's kind of what we've seen throughout Dave's tenure. And what I mean by that is that it's the same, like we were expecting to be more aggressive constantly, and we were, right? I'll say that we were early, throwing it more vertical and doing those things. Got up 17-0, and you're like, done. We're gonna hammer these dudes. It's gonna be over. We'll put them away before halftime, and then the mythical 31-point number must have entered into all their heads, and it just kind of turtled up, and you're like, man, it was so promising. It was so exciting early on. Yeah, that's kind of how I left. And then I thought about it. All right, we won. It's week one. Maybe they'll get better. But to me, that also feels like a bit of the saving the playbook conversation that we've had before, right? That's kind of how that mental gymnastics to say, well, maybe it'll be okay. Really, I don't think that ECU team is very good, and I think we let them hang around, and I'm just didn't get warm fuzzies after all that, right? It's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I mean that goes to show you the power of offensive schemes and how quickly they can close a gap these days, especially if you you keep putting them in field position, right? The missed field goals set them up. I don't know. We said it on the pod. I can't remember what the context was, but I basically said we're probably going to be really aggressive from 20 to 20, and then once we got in the red zone, I figured we would kind of turtle up. And that's kind of what happened. There were a bunch of dumb penalties and really weird things with these officials, right? Like that. I just rewatched the game, right? And that series that set up, I think, the first missed field goal. The
holding penalty on Rodgers.
Yeah. There's a holding.
Terrible.
Yeah, let's just riff from the start, right? The Rodgers holding penalty, that's crazy. There was some PIs that weren't called. There was obviously that targeting, which I still don't, maybe I'm missing an angle on it, but it still looks like it's targeting after I rewatched it. There was, before that field goal that we missed, there was a holding call on Hardy, I think is who it was. And didn't really look like that big of a hold. But it knocked him back, and then we proceeded to screw up and set up a really bad thing. But what I took away from it is, CJ Bailey had a really good game in some degrees, but then in certain situations he really screwed the pooch. Like he set up that bad field goal by holding on the ball and getting a sack. He did that a couple times, so a lot to work on. I thought I'm with you. The first. I guess the first 25 minutes or so, it was really awesome. And I was like, this is great. This is what we were hoping for. And then classic kind of end of half time management. Dave showed up.
The end of half was infuriating.
Yeah.
And you have 2 minutes and they were just puttering along.
They were rotating subs.
Yep.
Right.
And then to give them, where my frustration lies is the dumb stuff that we seem to do that just, I wouldn't say it's coaching, right? And it's players making the things, but in this situation, it's probably more coaching. That damn substitution touchdown, you see them subbing, right? Or you see us subbing and you see them, they want to go fast. Dave, at the end of it, has got to call timeout. Somebody's got to call timeout, but the buck stops at Dave at some point. He's got to call timeout there. You give them a cheap touchdown, give them life, and then you do what you do with the last 2 minutes and, running we'll get into the specifics about that, but that to me is where all the fan angst comes from, right? I had a conversation with Josh Goodson for like 4 hours in DMs the other day. We were talking about it because he bags on the fans and fans picking on one play. And I'm like, dude, it's not just the one play, right? The one play might be a red herring or canary in the coal mine, if you will, of what the actual, why everybody's complaining. Everybody's complaining because it's the same thing again. And in the end of it, you go through this game where a team you should have probably manhandled pretty easily, you let them hang around, and it says your trajectory in most people's minds is, okay, here we go again. It's going to be another 6, 7, maybe 8-win season if you're lucky. Not, and then we're discounting the rest of the ACC results, which we'll talk about later too. But that to me is, I think, why everybody is just like, just let the wind sucked out of them after that game. Even though they won, and even though you beat ECU, and there's some positives, and we will talk about the positives, I promise. But that's kind of where I think most people's head lies. Is, damn, I feel like we were so close. You tease us with it, and then you don't. And I don't expect every play to be deep bombs, but at some point, to me, you have to show some level of rhythm and tempo and all these things that are aggressiveness that we just have not been showing. And then when you just can't run the ball again. It just goes against the whole ethos of hard, tough together. I don't understand what's wrong with the running game. I don't know.
I hate that slogan.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
Let's rewind for a second. You know what's crazy about that substitution play touchdown is series 2 before that they were going tempo and caught us, I think, in a sub, and we called a timeout. We were out of position. And so it's crazy to me. I'm sure what's going through his head was like, gosh, I don't want to lose. I think that would have been his last timeout. I need to go back and double check that. But I'm sure he was thinking, well, I want to have this timeout. We'll be fine. So it's just one of those things where it's like you just call it and move on, right? You're up 17-0. Worst case scenario, you burn this timeout and you struggle to get a field goal at the end of half. So then you let that up, and again, then it's just how you manage the end of half. There's just no sense of urgency. You're sitting there making substitutions in a 2-minute drill, like instead of just keeping the guys you got on there and trying to score. So I mean, it's stuff like that is it's been consistent over 13 years. So like you can just bank on Dave making really bad time management decisions, just happy to sit on any sort of lead instead of maximize it, which doesn't really make sense because then after the game, we've referenced it a couple times, he said that scoring 31 points is their goal. And like, I guess they've run some numbers and it's yielded some incredible results. But when you actually go back and look at it, it hasn't. I was just crunching this beforehand, but 31 points a game is like 44th to 47th in scoring over the last decade. Like it's not a great attribute to go for, but I think that kind of illuminates like what everyone's frustration is that you can't be an elite scoring offense. You can't be a top 25 offense when your target is 42nd through 48th in scoring. That's not right. You have to go more than 31 points to average it over time. And so, I think his reference after the game was, well, if we got those 2 field goals, we would have been close to this 31 points. And it's like, okay, great. Like, in the end, you should not be, we almost had a safety at the end of the game because we were running out of yards to kneel in.
Dude, penalty in the victory formation.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I've never seen that. I've watched a lot of football games in my life. I have never seen a penalty on a victory formation. Go back
and watch it. I can't remember which tight end or whoever it was, but he's like barking at the other tight end, and I'm like, dude, you're the one who jumped. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. That game was, it gives you a lot to hope for. You can say, okay, well, that was first game back. Maybe he didn't want to just curb stomp ECU. Which maybe he wanted to put the kickers in situations and see what they could do. I'm sure there's some method to his madness, but at the same time, just like you said, it was just like having the winds kind of sucked out of the sails going into halftime. And then you come out and, things kind of revert back, you score, and then you just, again, you repeat. And there was just the penalties were frustrating. I think there was one drive, right, where we started off like back-to-back false starts. I think it was on peak. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that was the third quarter. There's no one there. How is that even happening? So there's a lot to clean up. So I guess if we want to be glass half full, I think you can take a lot from this game and be like, hey, this was really great. Defense was way better than you expected. You just have to hope that ECU is better than we think they are, right? Because that defensive performance could just be that ECU had a new offensive line and they were pretty rough until the very end.
Their offensive line stunk. I thought State kicked their ass on both lines.
Yeah, so did ours.
And that makes it even more disappointing. Like, you had all the advantages there and you still could barely run the ball. I don't understand that, man.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, right? Is like, this is like I don't even know how many years in a row now where it just looks like at time like our offensive linemen aren't even trying to block for run plays. It's very, very confusing to see like the lack of push. I don't know if it's a recruiting thing, an effort thing, a technique thing, but like the one thing I can tell you is I don't know why we're running gap scheme. Like, our guys can't do it. Like, I hope that was
I'll be honest, and I don't know if it's scheme related. I don't know what the actual problem is, but there is definitely a now reputation, as Andrea Adelson, ESPN, tweeted out during the game. Another year, another NC State can't run the ball. I don't know what the problem is. I was like, yeah, I don't either. We've run gap scheme, we've run zone scheme. It's got to be more than just that, right? I watch all these teams find ways to run the ball, and we just don't.
Well, we run zone better than we run gap, so that's what's questionable about it. But like, I think the bigger thing is that's Dave's whole ethos is trying to be physical and run the ball, and so that's what we've been saying for years is. The numbers back it up. This team is very inefficient when it comes to running, and for a team that should be priding itself on its ability to run, it often seems, no matter what, we seem to be much better at pass blocking than we are at run blocking. I'm sure it's a lot easier, right? You're trying to hold ground instead of take ground, but man, I don't know. Maybe ECU was just doing something phenomenal. I mean, the first half, the rushing game was pretty good. Right. I mean, the second half they completely befuddled NC State. It's just you see it. The vertical shots were really exciting. The no huddle, I didn't think they really used the tempo excessively. So I think there's more upside there. So like you can see that if we want to lean into it and be more aggressive, this team can do a lot of damage. It's just going to be, are we gonna get, 17 points is not a huge lead, as we just saw. And like, we treat it like it's insurmountable.
Yeah, and that's what costs us games. This is the other quote that just left a sour taste in my mouth. So after the game, Dave said, I felt like we tarnished our reputation in last year's bowl game. This game wasn't about ECU. This was about playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. The game was about getting our identity back, playing hard, tough, together football. Okay, but just a month ago, Dave also said this. I don't just want to win that game. I want to beat the shit out of that team, Doran said. Not because of them, but because of how we played. I told our team in the locker room that's the most embarrassed I've been as a coach. This is after the bowl game. Those two statements don't jive. And then when you pucker up at 17-0, again, that's not wanting to beat the shit out of them. That's just doing the same things you've always done. Like, where did that salty Dave mentality go? I don't know. But you really had a chance to just let everybody buy in, right? You were throwing verticals. CJ Bailey looked pretty good. You had things working early. And everybody's like, all right, this could be it. This could be it, right? We could be back. And then all of a sudden, just come to a screeching halt. And again, I don't expect every play to be a vertical bomb, right? But there's more to aggressiveness than throwing it deep. There's tempo. There's how we're using people. I almost think, and I'm sure somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're too predictable with when we run certain things, and then, maybe like we've done in the past when you bring in Matt McKay, like, oh, they're going to run it again. Like, is our personnel dictating what's going to come, especially in the run game? Because just once again, I'm trying to find what the issue is, or what was making us just slog when we try to run the ball. When you have freaking Hollywood, like, dude is good. He makes people miss. Like, run outside zone, run them on the outside. What are you doing? I don't know. That part is what really just bugs the hell out of me watching our football game.
Yeah. I think going back to the first point there, I do wonder if when you go out for, I think it was like 4 or 5 straight drives, right, where they just held them to negative yards, there's probably something at that point in his head where he's like, well, this is going to be a cakewalk. So, I'm sure knowing him, he's not going to come out and say what he said in the prior quote right after this game. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm really tired of hearing hard, tough together. It's like not that catchy. And it's, my thing is the problem has always been, it's like 2/3 or 1/3 of the team embodies that ethos. Like the defense seems to always bring it, except for last year. This defense looks like it embodies it. Parts of the offense do. It's just the rushing game never lines up with this. But I'm hoping it's like we're working out some kinks, right? You want to see what you're efficient at. I'm hoping Roper is a little bit more analytical than I was, and doesn't just keep square peg round holding this thing. But I think there is. When you've been with a team for 13 years, right? I'm sure there's plenty of tendencies, and I bet. I don't know if teams are doing this, but I'm curious how many, like if anyone's like running the play-by-plays of teams like Doran's, like through a ChatGPT or whatever, and just be like, what's he doing in these situations, right? Like, how often does he do this?
Yes, they have a billion analysts. They're figuring that stuff out.
And, it's like, I don't mind running the quarterback. I think I just would like it to be a little bit better designed. I'm with you. It's like, if Smothers is going to be more efficient running the ball in that situation, I think I appreciated that they did go out and do a deep vertical on the first play, right? That kind of set up that final sequence that's frustrating everybody. So they did break some tendency. It's just that as soon as we got in there, kind of like we said on the pod last week, it was like, I feel like once they get near the 20, they're going to get conservative. It could be, frankly, I didn't like what I saw to CJ for once we're in the red zone. I don't think his decision making was that good, especially at the end where he like didn't throw it away and took a sack and things like that. So he's still very young, and I think that's going to be influencing things. Now, because we can't seem to reliably kick a field goal outside of 30 yards, maybe we'll have to get more aggressive and everyone will get what they want, but that's going to also come with turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. But
I wonder with the CJ Bailey stuff, like we've talked about it before. We talked about it last year. He's getting a lot of hype, and I think he's talented. He's certainly talented. He is super raw. He has got a lot to learn and a lot to get better on. And that's not a detraction on him. He's only a 19-year-old sophomore, right? But he's got the tools, and he showed progress, but he still showed that he's a 19-year-old sophomore, and he's going to make mistakes. He's not infallible.
Do you like him dancing in the huddle before the game was over?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. But yeah, like, he's good. And what I wouldn't do, and this is the part that gets me you want me to start questioning Dave Dorn. Why the hell are you running your only quarterback? Because if CJ Bailey, who is not a thick boy, gets hurt, who's your backup? 5'6" Lex Thomas?
Hey.
I love the Thomas family. I love them. I swear to God I do. But that's your season if CJ gets hurt. And I know you can't play to get somebody, whatever. But you have to factor that in. And running him on design runs doesn't seem smart to me. Just seems like a really misuse of resources.
Yeah, especially after I need to go back. I wonder if anyone's got like the breakdown per half, right? But the run totals were really bad in the second half. So it's like even then, it's like is this really the highest? Probably. I'd almost rather see a screen. I think they saw enough. I mean, there must have been 3 or 4 interception worthy passes in this game. So I feel like that's also like we're not accounting for, there was a ton of upside. There were 24 really good throws that were attempts or completions, and then there were some questionable ones. And I think they were probably just running the math and like, okay, I can't even say this kicker's name, so we'll just say they probably were just hoping that the kicker was gonna put 1 out of 2 of those in, and it was gonna be game over. And whatever, they screwed up. But I think that my bigger problem was, again, there's just a few times where penalties really bogged us down and put us in some bad spots. But that's always going to happen. I'm with you. I would rather, in the past you do like a wildcat or something there. Like, they know it's coming, but like you can have CJ in the game, have him motion out, direct snap to Smothers. That's probably a smarter thing to do at that point. But the other thing too is, okay, between CJ and Smothers, neither of them are big, right? So it's like you're incurring some amount of risk no matter what running in those situations. I think now that they see how difficult it might be kicking these 40+ yard field goals, I think it's going to change how they call this in the next game. Which I had forgotten that UVA is a non-conference game.
Yeah, it's so
right?
stupid.
So again, it's also a meaningless game from that aspect. Who cares? I would almost rather in this situation going forward against, do you bring in my God, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the third string quarterback? That's obviously going to be Will Wilson. I think I would have rather done that. I'm not sure why. Actually, I honestly don't know why they didn't do that.
If you're going to run the dude, like if you're running design runs, bring him in and let him. Don't put CJ Bailey in that situation. I just think that's a terrible, personnel decision. Just silly to me. The little things, again, it's the little things that really frustrate the hell out of me with Dave Dorn.
Can we do positives?
Style. Yeah, there's some positives. All right, so we'll get into positive. I thought the defense held ECU to 30-something yards, 30 yards rushing on 29 attempts. Like, I thought the defense looked good. I thought your 2 guys, Harsh and Sloan, on the edge were good. I thought the linebackers were playing fast. Blew some coverages that the ECU couldn't hit, but I think for the most part, I was pleasantly surprised with how the defense played. ECU wanted to run a lot of horizontal stuff, and I felt like our guys are really playing fast because that's a fast skill group, as everybody noted last week. And State handled their speed pretty well. I was optimistic on what I saw from the defense. You?
Yeah, I was really happy with what I saw there. It's really nice to see a 4 down front again, in different looks. And, obviously, like everyone's talking about Harsh and Sloan, but, I think the whole defense looked like what we had seen the years prior, under like the really aggressive version that you saw with Gibson. So like, it's great that mentality is there. Like, again, that's a calling card. That's why last year was so odd at times, because it just seemed like we had lost our identity on that side of the ball, and that puts a Dave Dorn team in a bad spot. So I thought overall was good. Yeah, I expect a team running a scheme like they were doing. They do have speed on the field. It's not shocking to me that they got behind us a few times. Luckily, they didn't hit on any of them. But I do feel like if they did hit at them, I think we would have also been aggressive and kind, right? Like every time they scored, we tried to respond. So I don't think it was the end of the world. But yeah, there's a lot to really like in that group. The defensive line just felt better. Cleveland came in the second half and kind of made some plays, but I thought, kind of like we said before, we were not hurt by him not being in the game. So I think there's a lot of upside there, a lot of depth. That's positive. Wesley Grimes was
super good.
Yeah, transcendent. That's exactly who we thought he was, and it's great to actually see the alleged 40-time lineup with on-field speed for once. So that was great. Hoffman, holy crap! I remember there were some whispers about him. Didn't expect that. It's unfortunate because I thought Rodgers looked like maybe he was going to kind of start picking up steam than when he got the like most bonkers foot to ear.
Freak. Yeah, that was a freak.
Even when you watch it, like I was trying to watch it slow mo, it's hard to even see it happen. It's just like the guy just is jumping, trying to get out of the way, and just kicks him right in the ear holes. Like, I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, hopefully it was. I'm sure we won't see him this week, just out of caution. But
probably not. There's a deeper conversation to be had about Noah Rodgers, but we'll save that for another pod, I think. ECU really tried to take away Jolie. I think it was apparent they were very cognizant of where he was in the field and doubled him quite a bit, and just making sure that he wasn't our scapegoat. And I thought CJ Bailey did okay. I thought he handled it pretty well. He threw some nice deep balls. Like you said, Grimes was phenomenal. He's a guy that you and I both have loved out of high school. His film was very, and I don't say this lightly, Torrey Holt-esque. His high school film, his huddle film, he was just sharp routes, fast, good hands. And this game is kind of what I expect to see out of him. And he was legit.
I don't even know if we had even like a dropped pass really. Like there was maybe one.
I don't think there was any credits to any drops.
Yeah, there was one maybe with Keenan Jackson, but I mean that would have been a brutal. I mean, like it was very unlikely he was catching that. Here's the thing: I will trade Jolie getting double teamed like that and then opening up the vertical game, which is what we thought was going to happen last year with KC. Was right. He's going to be the distraction and open it up for everyone else. So I feel like this is going to be a really enjoyable season from a skill player group. Like you're gonna I just feel like you're gonna have people go off kind of randomly, right? It's gonna be whoever is not the focus could have a really big game. And to have three guys,
no, I was just gonna say, here's the problem with that is that ECU was dropping everybody into coverage and we were not able to run the ball. And a better team is going to give us even more problems if they're able to do that, and we can't figure out how to run the ball. Like it's hard to. Sometimes I know you need to throw to run, and I think that's kind of where State has to go. But we're not good enough at it, or we're maybe not aggressive enough at throwing to run. Inability to run the ball. It worries me. That's like a real concern.
I think they just gotta abandon the gap scheme stuff. Like our guys cannot pull and move well enough. It's very obvious that we are better at zone than we are at gap. And, I hope Roper can just, it's like so weird to me. Like if you're calling plays and you can see clearly that you can only do one certain thing, I would do the one thing well instead of, 50-50 at best. And like, again, to your point, maybe they were just selling out to stop the run, but if they can do that, then a higher skill set team is going to do the same thing. The Miamis, the Notre Dames, you like pick it on the, that's probably the worst outcome of the weekend, right? Is that, a lot of the teams that we have to play actually looked pretty good. Not being their old self. So maybe you'll get what you wanted. That Florida State and Miami are going to finally be the bellwether programs they were supposed to be.
Coming full circle on this, and this is something I have said forever, is if you're going to be average, which week one, I get it. I'm not trying to pass judgment, but looks like we're pretty average. If you're going to be average, be interesting, right? Just do something interesting. Be fun. I'd be okay with being average. I wouldn't love it, but I would be okay with being average and being more dynamic, right? When everything is a grind and just feels like you're pulling teeth to show progress, I think that's where you're opening yourself up to criticism. And I think that's where people are out on Dave. I think if this game, and again, early in the season, I think people were trying to give him a chance. And unless something drastically changes over the next couple weeks and they show us something completely different, that's going to be a tough conversation for Dave all year. He's going to get a lot of questions he's not going to like.
Can I give you a comparison that I think is really important? Will Wade's press conference when he was hired, right? He said, I want to be very clear. This is not a rebuild. We're going to be in the top part of the ACC next year, and we're going to the NCAA tournament. Like, that's what you want to hear your head coach say. Not, we try to get to 31 points.
Dude, the 31 points thing.
Like, we do hard tough together. No, like, I think State really needs some boldness and leadership. Now, maybe Doran feels snake bit. Every year he kind of leaned in and thought he had a contender, and then he blew it. But I think that ethos can permeate through an organization and show up on the field. It just looked like the team had a lot of energy to start, puckered up, had a lot of energy when they came back out, kind of puckered up, right? So I just think they need to have a mindset, a cultural shift. And like to your point, you can be kind of average, but kind of exciting at certain things. We seem to always be exciting on defense, right? Like it's frustrating to let ECU get close at the end, but we stopped them multiple times on fourth down throughout the game. So there's excitement there. It's just pair it up, stay aggressive. I think that's all people are really asking is just, I'm of the opinion that if you lose, swinging, like people aren't going to be upset. It's when you, because you know what's going to happen. If they score that touchdown there, they're going for 2 and they probably win the game.
Well, yeah, I said
right?
it. That's what I was saying in the pod chat during the game. Like, they're going for 2 for sure. Yeah. We got lucky that Anthony Smith blew that block and Jamal Johnson was able to stop that.
Well, I did think it was
fourth down play.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to hear. I think Dave said he was like, we thought they were going to run basically 2 plays there. And he was like, and we thought it was going to be this one, which is what they ran. And I think because they ran in the bowl game. So he was, again, like we were saying, right? Like knowing your tendencies. So, I mean, it's just your tendencies. They know your tendencies. It's just, are you going to counter that expectation? I think we did a couple times. And we'll obviously have to do a lot more throughout the year. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of upside to take away from this game. On the rewatch, when you go back and watch it, it looks like it's kind of like a bunch of freak things occurring. But at the same time, it's frustrating that, kicking game, it seems like it's going to be, I can't remember, what was it?
How did Vincent, who I thought was pretty good last year, just anecdotally, I don't know what his numbers are, lose that kicking job to the kid?
Well, remember last year he wasn't great with long field goals. Like
maybe that was it.
Is it probable that this kid just came in and was hitting long field goals in practice, and in the scrimmages? Maybe. You go back and look at it. It's like the first kick. Like, yeah, it's awful, but like, was it a technique thing? I don't know. And then he pushed it on the second time, so it's just like, give him another kick. Maybe he'll just reset and move on. Right, like Bambard missed kicks, Dunn's missed kicks. It's just that it was like right when you need it because you're gonna play that style and then you can't rely on it. It's like, well, you got to pivot, and I just can't remember what we did during the Bambard years, so I feel like I'm gonna have to go back and look.
So my post game tweet, I just said, give me everybody's reactions. And it was a lot of the same, same old door, and O-line still stinks, those kind of things. But the one that stood out to me was, we're not completely cheeks. But I see why they had closed spring and fall practices. And that made me laugh. I feel like, and that's Brian from the pod chat. He tweeted at us, and I thought that was good. Like, that kind of sums up the thing. And there's some other comments. Coaches are deserving of criticism, but there will be an overreaction. They'll get better over the year, and I kind of agree with that. And I'm trying not to overreact after the first one, but seeing a lot of the same old, and just kind of like, just makes me concerned. And I do think, and this is a whole, probably another podcast worth of topic. I think the Will Wade hire is putting in additional pressure on Dave Doran to, again, be interesting and, just be better. And I don't know I don't know if he cares to do that. And I don't know where that leads us. I just felt like this game should have been a blowout, and we didn't.
It was a blowout for, like I said, like 25 minutes. You're like, all right, here we go. This is gonna be awesome, right? And at the same time, it's like whatever. I think it's good to have a game like this because it can be a good wake up call. Like, there wasn't a ton of stupid going on. It was just some silly things happening, right? Like, again, like jumping off sides when you're at home. is hard to understand, right? You know the snap count. So they got stuff to clean up. I think there's good upside there. It's just really annoying to see. Once again, it's a year where we can't run the ball, and we'll see what that translates to. I'm hearing the baby going crazy.
Yeah, we'll run through these questions and then I'll let you out of here. Cater says, I know it was the first game, but different year, different team, same coaching philosophy, get a 2-score lead, sit on it. You can articulate the rest better than me. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly how everybody feels. The same sort of general philosophy, and it ain't fun. And it's not interesting. GoPack says, it's been hinted at a bit, but does Dave lose fans faster than he would if Will Wade wasn't here? Wade hasn't coached the game, but basketball excitement has clearly caught up and surpassed anything. Yeah, we just talked about that. I think so. I think that has definitely something to do with it. My question would be, and again, this is probably for a longer podcast, but who would be the Will Wade of football if we were to hire somebody? And then does NC State have the money to commit like they've done for basketball? Clearly, they increased the money to the basketball program. Do they have that same ability to increase the money to the football program? I'm sure it's more. I'm sure you get. I'm just going to throw 2 names out there. Kalen DeBoer, if he gets fired at Alabama, or Lincoln Riley at USC, if he gets fired out there. If you bring in one of those guys, I think there's probably some excitement.
Yeah.
And maybe the money changes, but I'm curious on what that level, if we could level up football like we've leveled up basketball.
I think it's probably just because we're a fan of him on the pod, but like a Jamie Chadwell kind of lines up with that. I mean, the real deal would be like Urban Meyer, like just a cutthroat killer. But we've seen what he leaves behind. I am curious to see if a Kalen, like I would take Lincoln Riley in a heartbeat. I could not care less about his defenses or whatever. Like, because sometimes that's just I don't know, man. Like certain teams just seem to have an issue, but like I'd rather be able to score points and worry about like shootout scores than again, like sitting there on 24 points and freaking out at the end of a game. So I'd go that way. But Kalen DeBoer is going to be interesting. I actually only got to watch like a quarter of that game. So I don't know if this is just like, did Nick Saban cover up a lot of issues? Is it just the NIL era has like caught up and Alabama isn't Alabama anymore? Like that, people are probably going to be in some feelings over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. After getting handled by Florida State like that, I think that his leash is going to be very short.
Were there
under 4 weeks
chants?
until Dave, say what?
I said, were there ACC chants?
Yeah. Right. There should have been. Over under 4 weeks till Dave makes a comment about the fan base.
Well, he was very effusive in his praise after the game for the fans, so maybe he's learned his lesson there.
I'm going under.
Yeah.
Under.
Wait, how many games are at home to start? Did you say the first 4 games?
I think so. 3 of the first 4.
Yeah, who knows?
How do you like playing UVA as an out-of-conference opponent when State is already playing Notre Dame?
That's so dumb.
I think it's dumb.
I can't remember. Did someone buy out this slot and we had to backfill it with UVA?
I don't remember. There's been so many buyouts. Tennessee bought one out. Florida bought one out. I think
LSU
was supposed to be Florida.
Yeah,
LSU bought one out. I don't remember, but
I don't understand why it can't be a conference game. I mean, I know why, but
maybe it's the timing of it, but get somebody else, man. Get somebody we haven't seen.
Yeah, why can't we choose number 10 Miami to be our out-of-conference game?
Why can't we choose Arizona or just some random-ass team that we don't see very often? I don't know.
I'm sure it was
timing. But
timing, it was probably cheap, as far as like, both teams can easily mitigate it. And it's at least a devil kind of thing. I mean, did the UVA quarterback get injured against Coastal?
No idea.
Okay, I think there might be some possibility there, but I just think non-conference games against conference opponents is dumb. But I mean, I remember Wake and UNC were doing it. It's just whatever.
Yeah. All right. Now, context of the rest of the ACC and college football, we saw Florida State just manhandle Alabama for most of that game. Miami looked really good against Notre Dame. Virginia Tech defense looked okay against South Carolina. I know they lost that game, but at least they hung in there. And, Clemson, I don't really know what to make of Clemson in that LSU game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and rewatch that one. I didn't get to see it live.
I watched it, and I guess I bought into the Klubnik hype from this offseason, but we've never been Klubnik fans on this podcast. It just doesn't seem to have it for me, and so I don't know what to make of them. But factoring in all of what you saw, Wake looking terrible, Duke slow start, put up a lot of points though. I'm trying to think who else is on there. Georgia Tech going to Colorado, winning a close one. Do you feel better or worse about State's road to the path to the Charlotte, I guess is the way I'm saying it?
No, I mean, I think it actually has me just confident that back half of the schedule is going to be a problem. If Florida State and Miami aren't disengaged by that point, it's going to be tough. Also, by the way, you mentioned Georgia Tech. It just drives me nuts that they can put up 320 yards of rushing. They're going to rush the ball, and they can still do it. And it's just like, I think Dave needs to go have a word with those guys. I'm going back and looking at our schedule again. Yeah, you've got, man, that's just such a crappy ending of the season for us. GT, Miami, Florida State. That's a team that wants to run the ball on us, and two highly talented teams that could be very, very much in a ACC title hunt or beyond at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. I hate playing Notre Dame when you don't get a conference, like when you don't get a reward for it. But I guess here's the thing that could be good for us, right? If Notre Dame is good, if Miami's good, Florida State's good, if Georgia Tech's good, we should be getting a lot of money from the TV ratings.
Yeah, fair.
Be
good, useful for buying our new coach.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, if maybe look at it as a business decision and say, this is great. Like, if the best thing that can happen for Dave or for State in general this year is if you can squeak through and get to that 6-0 going into Notre Dame, you're going to have eyeballs, and a 6-1 team can go to Pitt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could set up well to actually optically work out very well for State by the time you get to the end of the season. Damn, I was hoping like Florida State would get trucked by Alabama. It would make me feel a lot better.
The funny thing is, and I know every fan was kind of feeling the same way. It's like, oh, maybe the ACC gets some credit. We've had this before. I think there was a year when ACC went, 7-0 or 8-0 in the bowl games, and the conference still gets absolutely no credit. If Florida State and Miami are good and Clemson is what Clemson's supposed to be, it's better for the league. It's better for NC State for money-wise. It makes it harder for us, but at least it should be better for the perception. The problem is, I don't think that's going to ever change just by one season, or just unless there is a commitment to football where it's more consistent. Because we've seen it before, and they'll just make excuses for the SEC, like, oh, it's such and such, or this happened.
Yeah, you need 2 or 3 years of like consistent overperformance.
Yeah.
And the best thing that could happen is, let's just say it happens this year and it's a Florida State or a Miami this year, then a Clemson next year, then a whoever, right? You need multiple teams showing up in the playoff and someone going deep each time to kind of start shifting the perception. You're never going to be perceived. Like, the thing is like, there's too much going against you. There's too much money in the networks behind the SEC and the Big Ten to ever really give you your credit. So the only way you can do it is to do what Clemson did all those times, is win a championship game. And so, I think you're going to have to do that. But again, I think it's like, the pitch should always be, your path to the playoff is easier here than it is with those other groupings. And I just think it's kind of nonsense. It's like the same people who tell you that UNC is a valuable brand or UVA is a more valuable brand than so-and-so, but then you watch them play basketball and you watch them play football and you're like, what am I being, where is this, how is this working, right? Like, they're not exciting products. So, just go out and win. The best thing for the ACC is to have probably 3 or 4 teams that are really strong this year and actually make it tough to get eliminated from the playoff.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? I know you need to cut this short, so we'll pick it up back later.
All things are quiet right now, so maybe we dodged a bullet. No, I mean, just, I guess, I mean, the one thing that gives me a little hope is defense looked a lot better. Oh, and the depth chart already has an or by the kickers this week, so.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
And by the DB that got burned. I can't remember who it was. So, who knows, man.
No, Rogers fully cleared after losing the ECU game. Yeah, that's what Dave said.
I mean, he was obviously out cold. But I don't know. I don't know if it was like, did he drop and not move? Like, was he actually out cold or was he just in pain? Because, like, that was just crazy. I'm just glad. I mean, I'm glad he's healthy. But that could have easily been a fumble and everyone going the other direction. And so, I mean, I'm curious to see what you want to talk about with Rodgers, though. You said there was a conversation around Rodgers to be had. So we'll save it for the next pod, but...
Yeah, we'll save it. NC State's a 3-point favorite over Virginia, over under 55.
That feels right. Did you watch the fighting MJ horses?
God, it was so painful to watch, man. MJ, he's not very good. I feel, and I tweeted this earlier, or maybe I put it in the podcast, I feel for Coastal fans going from Jamie Chadwell to Tim Beck. It's like, I'm sorry, guys.
It's one of those things where you see something working. I'm just shocked that as a coach, you can't get your ego out of the way and be like, all right, we're going to actually retain this system and, do what put us on the map. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Casey Concepcion tore it up for Texas A&M.
Yeah, that was against what, UTSA or someone?
Still, punt return for a touchdown, first kick of the game, and then he had 70-some yards in the first half. I don't know. I get it. The narrative is not beneficial to Dave Doran. I get what happened last year and his effort and all that stuff, but everybody's looking about all the comments about him being wasted at NC State and transfer portal pickup over the year. Like, there's no context to the story. So,
I mean, should we have given him 30 touches a game? Like,
I mean,
how much more did we have to use this kid? He couldn't even catch the ball last year, and frankly, I'm sure there was a lot going on. But anyways, happy for him. Do it against the SEC teams.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Try not to overreact. I guess everybody's kind of feels the same way. It's like, you won. A lot of things to improve on. And that's kind of where we'll leave it, I believe.
Yeah. In 4 weeks, I think you'll have a really good picture, right? If you're 2-0 against the state teams and and you've beat the public Ivy, I mean, we're halfway there to a successful season.
Yeah. Speaking of, go Frogs. Let's go. Everybody's one Frogs fan tonight.
I cannot wait. I am going to fire this game up. I am all in. I will be watching this game live.
Yeah. All right, folks. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the pod, and we will be back soon. Go Pack.